Shop. Okay, today we're making this piece of art, this flower art right here. I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm kind of playing on the edges of photography and art. So I'm making a more subtle artistic approach. Is it a painting? Is it a photograph? So I've been working on this technique for a while, and I think I finally figured it out. It's a lot of fun. We're doing a little bit of dodging and burning in Photoshop at the end, so stay tuned to the end. You're going to learn a lot. Hey, without any further ado, let's get started. There's absolutely no adjustments on this image right here because I'm going to try something a little different today. I'm going to use some Nik software to actually adjust the image. Do something a little bit different today. First thing I'm going to do though is run this through Topaz Denoise AI. I've already duplicated the background layer. I'll go ahead and launch Denoise AI and we'll get started. We're now inside of Topaz Denoise AI, and the image on the left is the original. The image on the right is the preview. I just ran auto detect settings on this. It's a low noise image. It's only ISO 200. So I just put it in the auto mode, and as you can see here, there's hardly any noise in it. But it did some sharpening. Now, the sharpening engine inside of Topaz Denoise AI is really good. And I think it's the same engine that's in Sharpen AI for the basic sharpening. Where Sharpen AI really differentiates itself is the fact that it can deal with camera shake and soft focus due to not getting your focus right on your camera. But other than that, the sharpening in here is good. And for this image, it's relatively sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and click Apply, and we'll go back to Photoshop. Okay, next up, we're back in Photoshop, is to run this through the Nik Collection Color Effects Pro 4. So I'm going to come up to my filters and launch Color Effects Pro 4 under the Nik Collection here. Now, I don't have to make a duplicate background layer because Nik automatically does that for me. Someday I'll do a whole tutorial on Color Effects Pro 4. It's an awesome piece of software. I'm going to come over to, see where it says Film up here under Library. I'm going to click on Film. There's a set in here called Film Effects Modern. I'm going to click on that, and basically what it does is it emulates film. And I'm going to pick a film in here. And you have all these different films, and they've actually scanned different films to give you really realistic results of what these images would look like with different types of film, even with a grain in the whole 9 yards. It's really cool. So I'm going to use a film here called, what is it, Ektachrome 64 Pro. And right away, that looks really nice, right? Let me click the compare up here so you can see here's before and there's after. So kind of nice. And then you can come here to film details. I couldn't find it there. And when you click that, all these adjustments open up here. Now, there's sensitivity adjustments, saturation adjustments, and this is the tone curve for that film. And then, of course, you can add grain. I'm not going to add any grain, so I'm going to shut the grain off. When I slide this to 500, it shuts the grain off. And I can play with the sensitivity here if I want to. Let's just play with the reds. In other words, if I move the red slider to the right, it'll make the reds lighter. If I move it to the left, it'll make the reds darker. See that, how the reds get a little darker? And I'm just looking to get all the detail out in here. And let's play with our yellows. And I just recommend moving the sliders one way or the other. And, stop where you think it looks good. And let's see, I'm going to go with my greens. Maybe just, they're pretty good. Cyans, blues are good. I'm not going to touch that. Now we can play with the saturation. We can give it more saturation in the reds or less saturation. So I can bring more detail out. You see more areas in here of detail. If you get that red up too high, see it gets all smeared together there. That's what I mean. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think you get the drift. I want a lot of red in there, but I don't want so much where, the reds are smearing over the other areas of red and it just gets all melted together. I don't want that. Let's go to yellows and play with that. And we got some nice yellow in this flower here. And then that yellow was pretty good just where it was, but I think somewhere right around there looks good. And let's play with the greens. We can give the greens less saturation or more saturation, depending what we want here. And it was pretty close. Maybe somewhere around there. I might pull my yellows back a little bit more. I think somewhere right around in there. And then you can, down here there's a really nice adjustment, shadows and highlights. Like you can protect your shadows. Like watch the shadows over in this corner right here as I pull the shadow slider to the right. You see those shadows, see how they open up in there? So you can work with your shadows. You can open them up a little bit if you need to. And I might just open them up just slightly. And then the highlights, you can protect your highlights. If you have any highlights blowing out, if you move the highlight slider to the right, so you can protect those highlights. And I think right around there, then all I have to do is click OK and we'll come right back to Photoshop. Now we're in Photoshop and here's our layer, Film Effects Modern. CEP4, Color Effects Pro 4. I like this that Nick automatically gives you a new layer and names the layer for you, so that's really nice. Now I'm going to duplicate this layer. No, I'm not going to do that actually yet. I'm going to add a blank pixel layer and I'll tell you why. What I want to do here is just do a little bit of cleanup. For instance, I'm going to get my healing tool. I always use the shortcut J for the healing tool. And I just want to clean up some little spots here that I think are kind of not looking nice. Image cleanup is very important. And just keep hitting that healing brush till it looks good for you. This area right here looks kind of not nice. So I'll just clean that up here. This little brown spot up in here. You've seen me do my other technique where I just do painting and things like that. I'm not going to do that on this image. Even this little brown tip here. Let's see if I can get rid of that with a healing brush. Yeah, look at that. It just cleans it right up. The healing brush is amazing. It does amazing things. Here's a little spot back here. I don't like it. This little spot right here. There's a little light spot right there. And just do a little bit of cleanup. Even this light area right here on this leaf here. It's kind of distracting. And we can just clean it up like that. Now I'm going to send this into Topaz Studio 2 and we're going to add some painterly effects to it. I'm going to show you a really cool technique I've been working on and developing using the impression filter here. So it's going to be fun. So stay tuned. This little brown piece in the flower here, I think I'll leave that. All right, I'm just going to merge this down to the layer below. So I'm going to right click and just click on merge down. And now I'm going to duplicate this layer, Command or Control J. And let's call this one Topaz Studio 2. I'll just do TS2 for short. And then we'll send that into Topaz Studio 2. Come up to Filter, Topaz Studio 2, and we'll launch that and get started. First off, we'll come up to Add Filter, and we'll go right to the Impression filter here. Now, I'm doing something a little bit different and unique here. I'm going to take my brush strokes down to low. I'm going to take my brush size the whole way off. And I know the picture looks really bad now. I'm going to slide down in this bar here, down to texture. And I've told you about this great adjustment here before. See where it says background type solid original? Watch when I click original. Oh, our image is back. But notice one thing about the image. It's very soft, kind of like what or less detailed, I should say. Kind of like how it would look if you use the abstraction filter on it, but in a more painterly way. And this is the technique I'm working on. And I generally will just use the very first brush here for this technique. It's very simple, but I think very effective here. So what I'm going to do is just watch my image and just take the brush size up a little bit. I'm just going to bump it up slowly till I just add a slight amount of painterly effect to it. And I mean just a slight amount. It puts a little more detail actually in there. But on all the other adjustments like stroke length, stroke width, I'm doing nothing with those adjustments. Now we're going to go back down to where it says texture. We're going to add a texture here. And I'm trying to find a texture that has, I think this one right here, Soil 1. As I recall, this is a really good one. I'll zoom into the image a little bit so you can see it. I'm going to take texture strength, and when I do see this texture size slider pops up here, I'm going to add a good bit of texture here. But this is the effect I really enjoy here, that nice texture in here. Now I'm going to take the size and move it the whole way to the right to make it like a larger texture, because it looks kind of like more painterly just with that texture on there. And I'm going to give it a decent amount of texture. Something like that. Now let me zoom out. And already you can see it's taking on a nice painterly look here. Now I want to add some more detail back to the flower, so I'm going to use the layer mask for that. So let's come up to the impression filter layer and click on the layer mask, and we'll get a brush and make sure we're painting with black transparency. Now I don't want to take the effect the whole way off, but I'm just going to slide this transparency slider a little bit to the right. I'll start here like a darker gray right here, and I'll leave edge aware on, and I'll adjust my radius maybe a little larger here, and maybe take the softness down a little bit, and that edge aware will hug around the edges. I'll just paint this section right here first as a test, just to see what it looks like. Yeah, see my detail comes back, but there's a little bit of effect still on it, which is really nice. And I'll go ahead and paint the whole flower in now. Like so. Yeah. Come in here, and that edge-aware technology is really great. And I'm going kind of fast here. I might miss something or whatever, but you get the drift of what I'm doing here. But basically, I'm letting that detail come back. But isn't that really pretty? This is the effect. You know, it's like a subtle, you almost can't tell, is it painterly effect, but it looks different and unique, and it makes your image look very artistic. And I really enjoy that. Next, I want to add one of my favorite filters inside of Topaz Studio 2, and I use it almost on every image, and that's precision contrast. And it breaks your image down into different zones for contrast, like micro, which would be more like adding extra details to your image, kind of like sharpening. The low areas of contrast, the medium and high. So I'm going to start out with the micro. Let's just zoom in a little bit, but I want to see the whole image. Let's start to move this to the right. And this is a really good one to work when you're using painterly effects. But see how it brings out some of that texture that we put in there. I don't want to go too crazy with the micro, but just a little bit. Let's work with our low. And this is nice because it's really letting us just tailor the contrast just to where we like it. This is going to really help it. Okay, see, this is working in these darker areas here, the medium, and then the high will work in really large areas. See, if I pull that way up, it gets all black back in there, which we don't want that. So you got to watch the high. It can go real dark real fast, but maybe somewhere in there. See, I can still see a little bit of detail there in the shadows, which is nice. Let's click on the eye. Here's the before, and here's the after. But see how it really, and look how that flower just kind of like comes to life here. And we're going to do some dodging and burning in Photoshop too at the end of this. And that's looking good. Now for another favorite filter, come up to add filter, and that is precision detail. And a lot of times I'll use these two filters in conjunction with one another here. I'm going to work with, and this breaks down your details to small, medium, and large details. And you can work with shadows and highlights. I'm just going to work with the overall today. And we'll start with our small detail. Let's start to move it up. Yeah, and see how it just makes that texture just really pop through there, which is really cool. I don't want to go too crazy here, but I want you to know it's there. But I don't want it to say, you know, stick out like a sore thumb, like, oh, here I am, I'm over the top, like staring you in the face. No, I want it to be there, but I want it to be subtle. So I'm just going to add a little. Let's play with our medium details. Okay, and it's working on these larger areas here. See, it brings out some of this shadows and stuff, and some of the veins in the leaves and stuff like that start to pop. When I start to bring that up, see, I can keep bringing it way up if I wanted to, but that's way over the top. So you got to watch these. A little bit goes a long way. I know sometimes we're tempted, and a lot of times I overdo things, but you got to be careful. Now we're going to work with our large details. Works similar to the way that the precision contrast works, only it's dealing with more sharpening effects. And I might just bring my sharpening up a little bit. Let's click the eye. Here's the before, and here's the after. But see how it just sharpens up very nicely. And I think that looks pretty good. And if you felt you went too far, you can click on the layer here, and you can just, I usually like to say, take the opacity the whole way off, and then just build it up slowly and stop at the point where you say, yeah, that looks really good. I might just back it off to 90 just to say I did back it off, okay? And now I believe we are finished here inside of Topaz Studio 2. We'll come up to the menu and click the check here for accept, and we'll send it back to Photoshop. Let's see where we've come from. So here is the original image with no adjustments on it whatsoever, and then we send it into Topaz Denoise AI for some noise reduction, send it into Nick software, Color Effects Pro 4, and ran that film emulation on it, that Kodachrome, or that Ektachrome, Kodak Ektachrome 64 Pro, I believe it was, and then we sent it to Topaz Studio 2, so we've come from here, and now we're here. And I'm happy with this so far. Now for a little bit of dodging and burning, just to sculpt this image a little bit here. And you'll see how this works, and it's really easy to do. I have two layers here, one called Burn, which is black paint. And it is in the soft light blend mode. And Dodge, it's just a blank pixel layer, both of these layers. It's white paint, and it's in the overlay blend mode. Now on the Dodge or Burn layers, you can also use color as well if you want to. You don't have to just use black and white paint. Sometimes I will use color, and here I might use color a little bit too. So let's get started with the, we'll do the burning first. So let's just click on the burn layer here. Now if you're wondering what to darken, just look for dark areas on the image, like see right here. On this leaf right here, I'm just gonna, now by the way, I have opacity set at 10%, so I'm just gonna, you know, every time I give it a stroke, it gives another 10% of burning, okay? And I am just using the black paint here. So I'm just looking for darker areas that I want to accent. Okay, like over in here. And this just adds some sculpting to the image, gives it a kind of a three-dimensional type quality, you know, just little areas, and just go around and just paint them up. It's not hard to do, but I'll tell you, this will really make a big difference in your images. And every time you come over the area again with the paint, it will darken it up a little bit more. But just find those little areas here. I'm not going to spend too much time here. I just want you to get the idea of what I'm doing. I mean, I'd really take my time, get your favorite drink, put on some music, and just really have fun and sculpt this image here. And at the end, if you feel you went too far, all you have to do is pull that opacity back, and you can go ahead and ease off your adjustments a little bit. Because we always tend to go a little bit too far. I mean, at least I do. You may not have that problem, but I surely do. Now here, I might sample this color right here and put a little bit of that paint color on there. And just to paint that. See, and that's actually applying that color paint there. And even up here, I'll grab this paint here. Not necessarily dodging it, but maybe just adding, or burning it, but adding a little bit of color up in there, which is kind of nice. Here, I'll grab one of these darker colors here. Just soften this down a little bit. You know, burning it down a little bit. But see, it's putting that color of paint that I stole from here right on there. And I might even grab it right in here and put a little bit of that on there. And even right on this part of the leaf right here, got a little bit light there. So we can add a little bit of color to it. Tone it down a bit. Even though it is a highlighted area, we can add some paint to that highlight. And even up here, I think I'll grab this color here. Or no, I'll grab the darker color. And just tone this down a little bit. Even though it is up in the highlights, it is toning it down and adding a little bit of color to it. So you don't always have to just use black paint. You can solve problems with this too by adding a little bit of color. Just using that soft light blend mode. Even here, I'm just adding a little bit. And now I'm going to go back to black paint. Now to get to black paint, a real nice shortcut is just type D on your keyboard. That stands for default. Think of it for your default colors of paint swatches, black and white. And I'll just find a few more areas I want to darken down, like maybe right here, maybe in here a little bit. And then every now and then just toggle this layer on and off so you can see. Here's the before and after. But you see how that just sculpts it nicely? And again, if I went too far, I can come to this opacity, pull it off, and then just slowly build it up. But I like it. I think that's a really nice addition. Now we'll do some dodging. We'll just click on the dodge layer, and now we're going to get white paint. So right now it's using black, so I'm just going to type X. You notice the blend mode now is overlay. Now we're just going to find some light areas and just, again, that 10%, just lighten them up. Add a little bit of, nice look here. You don't have to get everywhere, but just a place where you want that light to pop a little bit and zing and give it some nice, I don't know, adds a little bit of a nuance to your image here. Maybe up there. I'm going to mainly center on the flower because it's so beautiful. I don't know what the name of this flower. It's a tulip. I think a tulip, right? Yeah. Tulip kind of opened up, but I love its gesture, the way it's opened up. Let me just click this layer on and off. There's a before and after, okay. And you could go around and get the leaves as well, but I'm just going to mainly focus on the flower for now. Just for sake of time, I'm going to stop at that point. Let's go ahead and put these two layers in a group. So dodge is selected. Just hold the command key down and select the burn layer as well. Right click and click on group from layers. I'm not going to name it right now. Click OK. But now I can click this eyeball off. There's our dodging and burning before and after. Isn't that a nice effect there? And if you felt, again, if it was too strong, you can come to the opacity and just pull off the overall opacity and ease off your dodging and burning together. Well, there it is. I just added a little bit of a digital frame to it from Topaz Studio 2 because I thought, hey, it is a piece of art. This is episode number 10 in our Creative Toolbox series. Another different painterly approach today. This is one I've been working on for a while, trying to develop, like a really subtle painterly approach with that nice texture in the background and a little bit of dodging and burning to complete it. I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. If you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click that bell notification icon. And then every time I upload a new tutorial, you'll be notified about it.